You're kneeling on stone. July in Korea, and the flagstones have been soaking up sun since dawn. The heat comes up through your knees. Sweat runs off your nose and hits the ground. Your father is screaming at you from the top of the steps. Full dragon robes, gold thread, the whole production. Ministers and eunuchs lined up on both sides, and every single one of them is staring at the floor. That's the tell. When the court watches, you're getting yelled at. When they won't look at you, something else is coming. He says something to the eunuchs. They leave. Quiet minute. Cicadas doing their thing. Then the eunuchs come back, carrying a wooden chest, a duiju, rice storage box, maybe 4 feet on each side, big enough to crouch in, not big enough to stand. They put it in the middle of the courtyard, lid open. You can see inside. Rough wood, a couple of old rice grains in the corners, and black. Your father says, "Get in." Okay, rewind. You're the crown prince of Joseon, Korean dynasty, 500 years, outlasted basically everything. The year is 1762, and you're 27. You are, hands down, the biggest disappointment your father has ever produced. Your father is King Youngjo, 68, 36 years on the throne. Could find a problem with the sunset. They took you from your mother before you hit 100 days old. She was a concubine, not the queen, so you got moved across the palace to the crown prince's quarters. No parents, eunuchs and tutors, staff. You were sharp when you were little, sharp enough that your father was briefly proud. That wore off fast. You got sick at 10, kept blacking out, and his reaction was anger, not concern. From then on, you shook when you heard him coming down the hall. He noticed, didn't help. At 15, he put you in charge of actual government business. You'd pick a course of action, he'd tear it apart. Didn't matter which one you picked. And he did it in front of everyone, always, like telling off a waiter who brought the wrong dish. Except the waiter is his son, and the dish is a country. 2 people stopped you from going completely sideways. Your sister, Princess Hwahyup, only person in the building who liked you for free. And your wife, Lady Hyegyeong. You married each other at 9. 2 kids wearing adult clothes while the grown-ups called it statecraft. She paid attention to everything, and starting in her 60s, she wrote it down. 4 memoirs, 1795 to 1805, in Korean script instead of literary Chinese. For a woman in the Joseon court, that was roughly the equivalent of going public with a tell-all. Everything we know about your life comes from her. 1752, you got your hands on a Taoist scripture, thunder god rituals, exorcism spells. You picked up the incantations from a court sorcerer and something went wrong. You saw a face, the thunder god. Could have been in the book, could have been on the wall, could have been in your head. You didn't know. After that, thunderstorms put you flat on the floor, hands over your ears, until it stopped. You couldn't look at the character for thunder without shaking. Your father told you the last thunderstorm was a warning to develop moral virtue. Even the weather was your fault. That same year, your sister caught measles and died. Only person who made the place tolerable. Gone. 5 years later, the queen died. Your father's adoptive mother died a few weeks after that. Whatever had been cracking in you broke open and stayed open. Your wife called it a clothing phobia. Servants set out 10, 20, 30 outfits every morning. You'd pick one up. Something wrong with it, a fold, a color. Into the fire. Next one. Fire. You could burn through dozens before you got dressed. If a servant handed you the wrong robe, you hit them. Then it went further than hitting. You killed a eunuch, took his head off, walked into the room where your wife was sitting with her ladies, held it up, made everyone look. She wrote about it decades later like she was writing a grocery list. Flat voice, no emotion. She'd figured out that reacting was worse than not reacting. After that, you started sneaking out at night, disguised as a commoner, walking through Seoul. Nobody knows what happened on those walks. Your wife said bodies were being removed from the palace more or less daily. So everything your wife described, the moods flipping back and forth, the paranoia, the clothing rituals, the violence that came in waves and then just stopped, and you'd be fine for a while, even gentle. Doctors today would call that bipolar disorder. Probably with psychotic episodes mixed in, symptoms going back to age 13. You tried to kill yourself more than once, headed for a well, tore your clothes into strips to make a noose. Attendants literally cut the fabric out of your hands, and you knew. Your wife says you knew something in you was broken. You called it a disease. But it's 1762, and the best anyone can offer is tea and incense. Nobody around you cares what's wrong with you medically. You're not just sick. You're the heir. And Joseon law has this thing, yundraje, guilt by association. If the crown prince gets executed for treason, his wife and kids go down too. Dead or enslaved or exiled. That's your wife. That's your 10-year-old son, Isan. Only male heir the dynasty has. Your father can't execute you without blowing up the succession. Your mother figured this out before anyone else did. She went to the king and asked him to get rid of you, to keep her grandson alive. A mother asking a father to kill their son so their grandson survives. Not cruelty, just how the math worked in that dynasty. July 4th, 1762, Changgyeonggung Palace, Munjeongjun Hall, the building where you were born, by the way. He strips your title, barefoot, on your knees, orders you to kill yourself. And you try. You actually try to obey. Run for a well. Attendants grab you, rip your clothes to make a rope. They cut it out of your hands. Every attempt, someone blocks. So he comes up with something else. A rice chest. If nobody spills your blood, if you just die in a box in the July heat, then technically there's no execution, no treason verdict, no collective punishment. Your son gets to live. You could fight. You could run. You've snuck out before. But according to your wife, you begged. Swore you'd change. You'd study. You'd listen. Didn't matter. You got up, walked to the box, looked inside, got in. They closed the lid. Black. Can't stand, can't stretch. Monsoon humidity. No food, no water. After a couple days, they apparently roped the chest shut and piled straw on top. Your son was somewhere in the palace. Your wife says she and the kids were sent to her father's house that same day. We don't know what Isan saw. Don't know what he heard. That kid grew up to be King Jongjo. Whatever broke in him that day pushed him toward something instead of apart. You were still making noise on the 7th night. On the 8th day, July 12th, they opened it. Dead. 27. Your wife wrote that there was a bad thunderstorm that night. You'd been scared of thunder since you were 17. Afterward, your father gave you a posthumous name, Sado. It means something like remembered in grief. He wrote an epitaph for you. It's still around, sitting in a museum, and it does this strange thing where he mourns you and lectures you at the same time, blames you, misses you, can't stop doing both. He lived another 14 years after sealing that chest. Your wife made it another 54 years. Wrote her memoirs in Korean, not Chinese. One of the only first-hand looks at life inside the Joseon court from a woman. Your son took the throne in 1776. First major move, stood up in front of every minister in the palace and said, "I am the son of Crown Prince Sado," in a building where nobody had said your name in 14 years. He relocated your grave to Suwon and built a whole fortress around it, Hwasong, UNESCO site now. Your tomb got a separate UNESCO listing in 2009. He spent his entire reign trying to fix what his grandfather did. What if Yeongjo had just exiled you? Some house on an island, guards at the door, done. You live out your life somewhere quiet. If that had happened, your son probably doesn't grow up carrying what he carried. Hwasong doesn't get built. The reforms don't happen the way they did. And your father doesn't spend 14 years haunted by a name he picked himself. Sado, remembered in grief. You don't name someone that if you think you did the right thing. Here's what sits wrong, though. Your death might have been better for Korea than your life would have been. But try telling that to a 10-year-old boy who can hear his father dying in a box.